So the transgender discussion has become pretty heated these days, with arguments about change rooms, healthcare, athletics, and the military drawing everyone in, and it has unfortunately become really political. The reason I think it's unfortunate is because the first casualty of any political debate is the truth. It gets spun and manipulated until it fits into a neatly packaged doctrine that has very little to do with the original topic or the people that are affected by it, and everything to do with furthering an agenda and securing votes. And that makes me feel sorry for people who identify as transgender, because understanding yourself and your well-being depends on accurate information. This is especially true when it comes to our health. I think we'd all like to be able to go to a doctor or an expert and find out what we need to know to be happy and healthy. But when a topic like this gets hijacked by political figures and groups, the stream of information becomes flooded with ideological fallacies. Knowing and understanding ourselves, I think, is intrinsic to our well-being. And I'd hate to be in a position where getting the information I need can only be accessed once it's been processed through a political and media spin cycle. So let me start by saying that if you are somebody who identifies as transgender, be skeptical of the various voices that insist that they are on your side, especially the political ones. I'd also like to offer some suggestions about how you can scrutinize the various factions that are competing for your trust. So if someone is taking a loud position on this topic, ask yourself if they have anything to gain by your support. Does it mean more votes for them? Does it mean more sales? Does it mean that your voice will be added to theirs, which in turn gives them more influence or authority? Are they perhaps just going along with trends and appealing to a need to be popular? And on the other side of that, are there any voices that seem to be just motivated by the truth, even if that costs them hardship? I'd also pay close attention to the voices that have been morally and logically consistent. And I'd like to focus on one example where I don't think some voices have been very consistent, and that's with the gender pronoun side of this debate. There are some very imperious voices, as we've seen on a lot of university campuses, that insist that people should be called by whatever gender pronoun they prefer, but then are far too quick to label anybody who doesn't comply with those demands as intolerant, transphobic, or bigoted. Think about that for a second. How can they in one breath claim that compassion requires us to call people whatever they want, and then in the very next breath use such disparaging language to describe anybody who adopts different conclusions? How can they adopt such a glaring moral and logical contradiction and still expect everyone to treat them as credible? These are the kinds of voices that I would be skeptical of. My sense is that they're hijacking this issue and using the people that it affects to silence political opponents. And I would invite anyone who's paying close attention to this topic to not let yourself be used in that way. Lastly, can I just say that if you are somebody who's uncomfortable in your own skin, don't rush to do anything drastic. Studies have shown that the majority of people who experience gender dysphoria at a young age do not continue to experience it after they go through puberty. Also, everyone experiences insecurities. Growing up, I didn't want to have red hair and freckles, but I wasn't prepared to take dangerous steps to alter my outward appearance to fit my internal desires. Now, I'm not trying to say that whatever you're experiencing is equal to my everyday insecurities, but I do think there's something to be said for learning to accept and love yourself as you are, which I used to think was the fundamental message of the LGBTQ movement. Thanks for watching. We're making videos like this on topics that I find interesting, and hopefully you do too, on a weekly basis. So if you do, then please like and share and follow and subscribe and all that good stuff. And if you do, I promise not to take that for granted.